Hello, Trinity family. This is Pastor Dewar, and this is your Theology in Three. Today, I'd like to talk about Deuteronomy 26 as we continue to look at the life of the people of Israel and their relationship with God. We'll start with Deuteronomy 26, verse 6. And the Egyptians treated us harshly and humiliated us and laid on us harsh labor. Then we cried to the Lord, the God of our fathers, and the Lord heard our voice and saw our affliction, our toil, and our oppression. And the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, with great deeds and terror and signs and wonders. Here we see a very short description of the Exodus. Now, if Deuteronomy is a retelling of the story of the Exodus and a retelling of the laws of the people of Israel to the next generation. If you remember from the story, the people of Israel had been wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, and we have a new generation. They were not necessarily there for the Exodus events. They don't remember the crossing of the Red Sea. They don't remember the 10 plagues. And so now we have a retelling of the story. So it started in our last session with a conversation about Abraham, the wandering Aramean, how he came into Egypt. But now we see that the Israelites had been enslaved in Egypt for many, many years. And now that they are free, there is a question of how were they made free? Here's a really cool thing that often can escape us, modern Western Americans, reading the text without the benefit of knowledge of the ancient culture, is that this image of God with an outstretched arm is using a very specific imagery from Egyptian temple art. If you have seen an Egyptian temple, the pharaoh is always depicted smiting his enemies in a very specific smiting pose. He's standing with a mace above his head, he's got his hand outstretched, and he's grasping his enemies by the hair. This pose goes all the way back to the first pharaoh, Narmer, and the very first text that we have is a palette with Narmer on it doing this exact thing. Pharaohs ever since depict themselves defeating their enemies with an outstretched arm like this. All the way up through Tutmosis III to Ramses II, you've got pictures, depictions of pharaohs smiting their enemies in this exact pose. And this is really cool and really interesting because what it's doing is it's taking the very imagery that shows the power and dominance of the pharaoh and showing how Yahweh God actually defeated him. That it is Yahweh God who has Pharaoh by the hair, and he is smiting him with his outstretched arm. It shows us that once again, God is supreme. The gods of Egypt and Pharaoh have nothing that they can do against Yahweh God. To the people of Israel, as they leave Egypt, as they wander in the wilderness, and as they come into the land of Canaan, they are reminded of the power of God as he is the one with the outstretched arm. That as they left terrible things and God delivered them through those things, they now enter into the promised land, and they will have their God with them, with his outstretched arm to defeat their enemies. It's a good reminder for all of us as we face terrible trials in our lives as well, to remember that our God is a God with the outstretched arm, and nothing in this world can stand up to him. Pray that you have a blessed rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you soon.